Welcome to the So I'm a Fan of podcast, where people from different fandoms come together to share why they love what they love.
And hate what they hate.
You got it wrong again. This is the second time, Sabrina. Sometimes hate what they hate. Sometimes hate what they. How are you going to be a? It's okay. You know what? We're gonna get there. We're gonna get there. Welcome to the show, everyone.
It's not my fault.
Hi, everyone. How are you doing? Today, we are doing the second episode of our animation takeover, discussing Castlevania. Yay! It's the Netflix show on Netflix. It's an animated, and it's on Netflix. I said that 3 times. How are you today, Sabrina?
Yeah, I'm good. I have another joke for you.
Oh, we're doing that again.
Yeah. You act like you didn't write the script, man.
Don't do me like that. Don't do me.
All right. You
Yeah,
ready?
go
You
ahead.
ready? Okay. So, what dairy product do Belmonts put in their coffee?
Bluebell Bell.
No. Whipped cream. Get it? Cause they use the whip.
Okay. Oh, I didn't get it at first. When you said the Belmonts, I was thinking of the vampires for some odd reason. I started imagining
No, no, they're
Alucard in his
vampires.
hair, and I was like, does he whip his hair or something?
No.
Yeah.
Trevor Belmont uses the whip. The family heirloom is the whip with the blade at
Mm.
the end of it. Like,
It wasn't a good
you
joke,
have to keep and
but
watch a
I'm
show.
glad that you tried. Maybe next time.
It was cringe. It was perfect.
I hardly even cringed. I just was confused, so I'm sure somebody enjoyed it somewhere. It just wasn't me.
Yeah, I'm sure somebody got it.
Yay.
Anyway,
So
so I guess to give a synopsis of Castlevania, since we're back on
yeah.
track, my poor joke did not land. So the show Castlevania is about a vampire hunter who fights to save a besieged city from an army of otherworldly creatures controlled by Dracula himself. And it's inspired by a game of the same name, Castlevania, that I think stretched back to the 1990s, 1980s.
Maybe. It was I thought it may be like
Yeah.
80s. I don't know. Castlevania has been around for a long time, almost as long as its characters, because 'cause they're vampires. That was a horrible joke, but, Castlevania
Yeah.
is a very good show. What got you into the Castlevania show, Sabrina?
So I know you judge me, but being honest, so I'm a Netflix binger. Like I during the pandemic, that's what I did. I would find series and I would binge them. And a lot of times it was about the visual. Like they'd have that cool little card that would pop up with their art for that series. And when I saw Castlevania, I was like, oh my gosh, all the beautiful people I need to
Tick, tick,
watch.
tick, 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 tick. It's okay. I judged you last time. I'm not gonna judge you again. Beautiful people. The people are beautiful. I'm not gonna lie. But they're still not as beautiful as in Castlevania Nocturne.
I get it.
It's just
I
that
get it. But at the same
yeah.
time, Alucard, I simp. Like we saw in the last episode, I simp over Alucard. It's not my fault. He's beautiful.
Yes. So, today we decided that we were gonna watch the first 2 episodes of Castlevania, and I also watched the first 2 episodes of Nocturne, but you say you didn't watch them. Did you say you didn't watch them?
I got lost in the sauce, okay? I forgot we were only supposed to watch a certain, like, amount
Uh-huh.
and then just move on. I just started binging all
So
of
I
it.
guess we'll talk about Castlevania, right? And then I'll sprinkle in a little bit of Nocturne here and there, talking about some things. I might compare and contrast why I may think
Yeah,
Nocturne is the better show. Even though
yeah,
Castlevania is still a really good show, watch it. It's 4 seasons. A lot of good stuff happens in there. And then watch Nocturne too.
yeah,
Out of order, in order, blah blah blah. Do whatever floats your
yeah,
boat. Okay. So
yeah, and it's relatively
yeah, it
short
is
too.
relatively short.
So, like, the series,
Mhm.
so good option.
So, we should do the episode synopsis. Who do you wanna do the first one?
So the first episode kind of sets the tone of, like, the origins of, like, how things will be progressing, like, the reason for this whole series in the first place. It opens with a woman named Lisa who wants to become a physician, a doctor who helps people, but during this time period, it isn't an option for her because medicine and science is seen as witchcraft. So she has a hard time, so she decides to seek out Count Dracula because it's said that he has otherworldly magic or materials that are just they're seen as, like, again, the devil's work, but she
Devil.
knows that there's just something more about them.
Yeah, yeah.
Hmm?
Oh, I said the devil.
Oh, the devil. But yes. So she reaches out to him knowing that there could be consequences, and obviously she walks up to this deserted plain where it's just bodies on spikes. And it's like a terrifying scene, but she just calmly walks past them and knocks on the door. And of course, Dracula answers being a jerk. He's like, "What are you doing here? Like, oh, why are you showing up at my castle? Like, like what's going on? Like, why should I listen to you?" Because he's kind of like this grumpy old man in the beginning. He's like just crotchety, like living his life in the boons, away from people. And so rather than being like terrified by this more like aggressive demeanor, she is kind of like, well, maybe you could teach me about science and medicine and I can teach you some manners.
Oh, yeah, no.
And she like
No,
roast
I loved her. Lisa was
the
hilarious.
clapback was so
Uh-huh, she was
good.
not scared of
So
him at
good.
all whatsoever, and Dracula's like this 8-foot tall medicine man with facial hair.
About 8 feet, maybe 7,
7
7
feet
foot.
7-foot tall man with facial hair, and he's just, like, moving like you
Mhm.
know how vampires move on, like, cartoons where they have, like, those really long capes, and so, like, the bottom part of them doesn't move, you just see, like, the top part of their body moving, and he just, like he
Yeah.
trying to be all scary and stuff, and she's not having any of it. She's just like, "Okay," and
No, she just is like, show me the stuff." And so he's intrigued by this curiosity and like lack of fear that she has. And she kind of just, they brush it off and he shows her to his laboratory. And when they get there, she's like amazed by like the room and they continue to converse like about how she wants to move on from this like primitive era that they're in where like people are just like, not that it's wrong, like, to pray when you reach an illness, but that they think that, like, maybe by praying and
mhm,
smearing this, like, goo on your feet is gonna magically cure this illness
mhm.
that you have that could probably be cured by taking
Right,
medicine.
taking medicine,
And,
nasty white people who don't take baths.
yeah. And so, of course, like, after they talk, he was like, "Man, I think I'm gonna like you,
Yeah,
Lisa." And it does a time skip, and we move
20
forward,
years.
and yes. Is it? Yes,
Mhm.
20 years. So, at this point, they've actually, like, fallen in love and gotten married. And yeah, but Dracula is not home. He has gone out to travel the world because Lisa has encouraged him that he needs to understand humans. Like, you can't just hate them for no reason, and it's not worth it hating in reality. So she encourages him to go out and explore the world and try helping people with the knowledge he
Mhm,
has. And meanwhile, she's staying at home trying to begin, like, the, process of encouraging people to believe in science and
mhm,
medicine. And so she's like a town doctor, she helps them, like, gives them actual medicinal items, like herbs and things that make them feel better versus, like, what was their original what was it called? I forget what the specific title of the person was, but it was basically like a town soother, like somebody who kinda, like, just gave them whatever schmuck,
sh
like, would make them like a placebo almost to get the illness away.
mhm,
So, of course, though, while she's assisting an older woman, the church decides that they're gonna bust in and accuse her of being a witch, because being able to heal people like this, it obviously has to be the work of the devil.
right,
She had to have made some
mhm.
contract to miraculously be able to cure all these
It's
people
not like Jesus
and
walked on
make a
earth, like, a lot and just started touching people and they were healed.
yeah.
So,
Yeah, but they were trying to pick a
they
fight,
were,
basically, like, they did not like the idea that a
right,
woman was doing
mhm.
this, like, if it was, like, a man of the church doing all this, like, science stuff, I'm sure they would've been
I
fine,
would
they would've been like, "Oh my gosh, it's the
I
power
was
of
gonna bring that
God."
up. The difference between, like, if that was a man who was doing all that stuff, they would not have said a
Mhm,
thing. They would not have said a thing. They would've said, "It's the work of God,
exactly,
God Almighty, thank you, Jesus." But then it's this woman who's coming up in here, doing her stuff, healing these people.
yeah. And she's come from nothing
Mhm,
too, so, like, she's also you could consider her, like, to be, like, mid
mhm,
well, she's technically middle class because Dracula got that shmoney and she has all her
mhm,
means, but she came probably from, like, a lower
mhm,
class, like, the common people, and, to have, like, worked her way to, like, what is considered a more educated, like, hierarchical standing, it, like, probably just didn't sit well with the
yeah,
church. Plus, when people are sick and relying only on the church for that help and aid that they were, the church
yeah,
gets more money, they get more, reputation, but if this woman comes around and people aren't relying on the church anymore, the church can't use
Yeah,
people anymore. They can't
and I
control
guess
them. And
oh, I was gonna
so
say, I guess
sorry, go.
also I thought about it, but we forget that Dracula, like, the science that he teaches her is probably, like, centuries ahead of, like, the medicine stuff that they were using, because you have to remember his
So
castle and stuff was, like, this mechanism that could move and do all this stuff too, and I can get you being a little scared, but putting somebody on the stake and saying, "You're from the devil, you made a deal with the devil," is kinda a bit much, but that's just me.
well, the craziest part to me is that all these sciences that Dracula uses are actually old
Mhm,
sciences that have just been forgotten because people have chosen to be ignorant and revert to the
mhm,
past. And, like, obviously, it was probably a situation again where somebody like the church or somebody in power was like, "Oh no, the people are getting too smart, too educated, too independent. We need to, like, corral them." And so there was probably a cleaning, like a sweep that kind of, like, either killed or, like, restricted all that knowledge again, and then people just forgot about
mhm,
it. But obviously Dracula is, like, old and has been around for a long time, he's a vampire, so he still has that knowledge that has been, like, in a sense, censored
mhm.
or from the, like, world. And so, of course, like, they put her on the stake, and, there's the bishop. Oh, I hate this man. I cannot explain how much I hate this snooty white man. Like like, if this was the last podcast episode we did where you roasted me, like, controversial topics, you would have put Sabrina hates
So
white
she has
men.
like,
I
man.
do not hate all white men, but I hate this specific white man. He, like, basically thinks, like, he is God. Like, he's like, "Oh, I'm doing this for the cause of God." No, you're doing this because you want power. You wanna
Mhm,
control the people. Like, you're
mhm.
crazy. And so the whole time he's talking about how he's doing this because it's God's work, and that even though this woman might have been helping the community, she wasn't. She was a witch poisoning our people with the devil.
Right, and he was
And
so sure of
he's
himself.
also like talk he was so like arrogant,
Mhm.
so narcissistic. To top it all off too, like he's also talking trash about the bishop, like the archbishop, saying like, "Oh, he's getting old in age. Maybe it's time that somebody else, wink wink, takes his place." Like, we know you want to be the archbishop. We know, okay? Like so anyway, and keep in mind, as he's talking all this trash, Lisa is up on the pike or pyre, whatever it's called. I think it's pyre. And she's like, they're getting ready to burn her alive. And the whole time she's just
Mhm,
begging, like
mhm.
Dracula, even though he can't technically hear her, he's just saying, please don't hurt
They
these
don't
people. Don't
understand.
let this one bad
Mhm,
experience like ruin it because she knows that the people are being
mhm.
controlled. Like, she knows that, like, this is all basically politics of, like, power and maintaining control over people, and so she's basically just begging out into the universe, like, "Dracula, do not hurt
No,
these
they were
people."
like, "Who is she talking to?" And the bishop was like,
Yeah,
"She
they're like,
talked to
"She's
the
talking
devil."
to the devil, her husband." Like oh
They
my
don't
gosh. And
understand.
then
"She's talking to the devil, you hear that? I saw him. I saw him in the
exactly.
fire. Don't we just"
Yeah, and so she's, like, legitimately burning alive and, like, using all of her energy that she has to beg Dracula not to
Mhm,
punish these people. Or at least, like, the
mhm.
common people who are, like, morale against her,
Mhm.
in fear. And so, of course, it pans to Dracula now while Lisa is
She
burning to
literally
death, my
turns to ash.
homegirl.
I didn't mean to laugh when it happened, but she just fell like
Dude, I was, like, mortified. Like, that's obviously why they pan away to Dracula's perspective because they don't want it to be so morbid about her, like, literally burning to death. And so Dracula obviously is, like, on the search helping people when he finally stops home and finds their home burned to the ground. And so, of course, the old lady that Lisa had been helping at the time when they stormed the house is like, "Oh, it's, like, such a shame what happened to Lisa. They carried her away to burn her to death in the town square because she was a witch." Which I know she's not a witch. I know she's a doctor, but I did nothing to help her. Like, "Old lady, I get you're old and you can't do anything, but, like, go get help. Get rally all the people who Lisa saved, cause
right.
she
But I'm sure some of
that
them
was always the
people
thing
were
that
over
got
there
me.
still burning her at the stake anyway, though. Some of the people she healed, some of them were there.
I hate that. Such fake. So fake.
Mhm,
But anyway, so I guess, like, obviously Dracula is, like, mad, like, obscenely, like, the one love of his life, the thing that brought him out of, like, the woodwork for, like, to help people and do better is, like, being punished by the very people she tried to help. So, of course, he said that like, he's quoting Lisa, and he talks about how she said, "You wanted me to walk the path of a man." And he's like, "But I'm in this point, I can no longer be a
Mhm.
man. I'm a
What?
monster." And he's like, "If they want a monster, I'm gonna give them a monster." And so, of course, he uses his vampire powers to take, control of the fire that's, like, burning Lisa's now ashen body, and basically shows up before all the townspeople about obviously, he's like, "How dare you do this to my wife? Like, this is unbelievable." And, of course, obviously, the bishop shouting they're all shouting back, obviously, how she was a witch and how she was married to the devil, and he's like obviously, he's like, "I'm not the devil. Lisa was, like, a woman of science and technology, and looking to, like, improve the world. She was the one good thing in this trash heap of, like,
And
human
not only that, the
existence."
bishop sitting there talking about, like, he denying Dracula's existence in front of his face, like, he not talk to you in front of your face.
Mhm.
Like,
Yeah. And, like, he even announces himself. He's like, "I am Dracula of Tepes." And, of course, like he said in that moment, he's like the one sympathy he gives, he's like, "You have 1 year before I gather my army, and I'll come back and kill all
mhm.
of humanity. If you haven't repented in that 1 year,
Not all of him he
everyone
was
will
gonna
die."
take over the country and kill all the people in the country. He was like,
Yeah.
I'm giving you 1 year to, like" basically, he was giving them, like, this not just to repent, but just to just, like, get out of there. Like, they have their chance to get out, but did they do it?
Mhm. No. No. What they do, obviously, is they're like, "Oh, a year passes." I think it was a year. It
It
had to
was
be 1
1
year,
year that
yes.
passed,
It was a
exactly.
year. Yes. And then keep in mind when Dracula makes a statement, their son, Alucard, basically tries to stop him. He's like, "This isn't what mom would want." And of course, Dracula ain't hearing
Mhm,
it, and they get in a fight, and that's when it pans to the 1 year
mhm.
later. And in the very same town that Lisa was burned to death, they're having a
Of her death.
celebration of her death. Like, "We survived the 1 year. It was all fake. We overcame the devil."
Mhm.
And of course, the archbishop even showed up to be all haughty and be like,
And when
"Ha
you
ha
saw his
ha,
long
we beat
fingernails,
the devil."
oh, those things were
It was
disgusting.
disgusting.
And his chin not
Like,
to
it made
talk
you
about his chin, but
he was really disgusting. He was old, way past his time. You realize if Lisa was alive, she probably could have fixed him.
no, nobody can fix that.
Anyway,
Is he on that I'm not even
she's
going
right.
there. I'm not even going there because I already know what I rank him.
No, he's not. No, he is in super hell. He's gone. Anyway, so at this celebration, though, there's an explosion. And of course, who is it? Dracula saying that he gave them a year. And not only did they not repent, but they are now having a celebration of his wife's death. And so, of course, he releases this, like, army of, like, otherworldly creatures to, like, kill everyone present. And, of course, some people obviously get away, like, running, hiding,
Mhm,
screaming. But it's, like, basically this terrorist attack on the
mhm,
town, like, setting the motive
mhm.
of, like, the vampires are done sitting around, they're gonna basically wipe
Him
out the
saying
whole
that a year
country.
ago would be a sign for me to get out that night, like, literally.
I know, I'd, like, write my little apology letter, "I'm so sorry." Like, to be honest, though, with my personality, I probably would've supported Lisa too. So, it would've been a thing where my family locked me away because they knew I'd probably go there and try and save Lisa, and
Sure.
then next thing you know, I'm like, "Dracula, I'm so sorry, please let me help you kill humanity, my homegirl Lisa died."
You would kill
And
humanity?
then I
You
joined his
join his
army.
army? For real?
I
Mm,
would. I would.
I'll just get out of there.
At least
I'm going back to
at least
yeah,
that
yeah.
place, in that time
Mm.
frame. Like, if it was, like, modern day, okay, maybe I would just run. But, like, in that day and age of, like, this medieval time period, I 100% would've joined Dracula's army. Even if it meant I died in the end, I'd like I don't know. It's the cause. The cause. I say that, but if Alucard showed up, I might just change sides.
You
You know,
can't be
like
go
that David
no,
stuff.
that's
Maybe
sad.
take
You
sides.
can't be like, "Oh, Lisa, I'm mourning you, I'm gonna join Dracula, your
Yeah,
love," and then
but Alucard's
as soon as you
right. Well,
start, like, "Oh, I think I was wrong. I'm gonna
no.
investigate over there, you see Alucard, I'm gonna investigate and see what's going on," and then as soon as you over there
No, okay, this is my, like, character arc, okay? I would, like, totally be on Dracula's side, and then I'd talk to Alucard and, like, probably have a battle with him in Belmont and Syra, and, it would be, like, one of those things where it's like, "It's not what my mother wanted," and I would be like, "You know what? You're right. Okay, time for me to join sides." Like,
and then secretly
change
make out with
bag.
Alucard.
Not secretly. I don't know, he's very much on a mission, Oh, and he's technically still a child.
Yeah,
Like,
sure,
'cause he
but
he just aged real fast.
eventually, he has his entanglement later on the show with
I know.
twins.
Shh, we're not gonna talk about it. And also that's real messed up. My homeboy did not deserve that. We're
Those
not gonna
2
talk about it.
guys really
We're not gonna
messed
talk about
over
it.
him, I'm not gonna lie. That was funny.
It was a
It was
guy
a
and a
guy and a
girl.
girl. Well, I remember it being 2 guys,
Mhm.
same difference. They twins, and they got D same DNA, whatever. But next
Anyway, so that kind of ends out episode 1 is, like, the declaration of war of Dracula and his army against, the humans.
yes. So and I think the episode ends in a bar, right? And you introduce a little bit to at the very
Uh
end.
Oh, that's right.
Mhm.
Okay, that's
Mhm.
you're right. I thought that would change the episode too. So at the end, after that, I guess it pans to what is the next
Mhm.
perspective, which is going to be the opposition of Dracula. And it starts in this little crummy town bar where these men are talking trash about Dracula and his army and how it's other people's fault, not the churches, that the monsters are about. And of course, one of the things they blame on like everything coming about is it's probably the dirty Belmont family who goes after chasing
Mhm.
monsters. The vampires got mad that they were hunting vampires, and that's why all these monsters are coming after us. But it's important to keep in mind also that like the Belmonts haven't been truly active like like they have still been hunting, but they were excommunicated from the church, like basically cast aside by society way before this whole argument and battle with Dracula
Mhm.
occurs. So, like it's been a long time. So, ironically, while these commoners are talking trash, who other than the last remaining male heir of the Belmont family sitting drunk at the bar trying to
Right.
basically like hide himself from these
Mhm.
people? And so, of course, everything, like, progresses and he tries to leave the bar and pay his tab,
Yeah.
but of course, boy ain't got no
Yeah.
money,
But
and so
I was gonna
oh,
say,
wait,
but
go?
before that, because it's, like, at the end of episode 1, at the very end, and then that's when he tries to, like, hide his face. I want to ask you a little bit about episode 1. What do you think? Because
Mhm.
I don't think the video games do, like, the whole tragic they probably do. I never really played, like, the first Castlevania. I played very little Castlevania. I've played it a little bit, but, like, not regularly. So, what do you think about them giving Dracula, like, this backstory, making him a more developed a character overall in general?
I honestly love it. Like, obviously, I've always been a literature fan, and, of course, Dracula has been, like, re-explained in many different ways, especially, like, with the story of him meeting who is to be his lover and whether or not there's different, like, retellings where either she's, oh, in love with him or, oh, she doesn't love him and needs to be saved, and but this version, I like it a lot because it makes it, like, a very more impactful story. I feel like the idea of this woman looking for knowledge and, like, becoming, in a sense, his equal and, like, in a sense, humbling him, showing him that humans aren't just livestock, which some vampires believe, is, like, a very unique take on this
Mhm,
story. And like you said, I don't know the plot of the games necessarily. I do love, like, the style of the game, like, I've seen art for it, but, I've never personally played it. I just I like it a lot. I like that it gives us this it sets Dracula up to be the enemy, but it gives him a
mhm.
reason. Like, I hate villains who are just, like, half-baked, like, they don't have a reason. They're just like, "Wahaha, let me just go harass these people for no reason." You know, like, it makes him a more likable and relatable character as, like, the series progresses, and like, makes him more, like, fleshed out versus being just, like, your stereotypical villain, and I like that a
Yeah.
lot.
I think it was a nice there's something about the difference why I like Nocturne a bit better than this one is because I think they did an excellent job with Dracula's backstory and all that stuff, but I think, like, Nocturne really got to, like, the story and everything at a quicker pace to where they got everything they, like, they told the backstory, did everything they needed to tell, but then right after that, they got straight into the action. I think this
Mm.
show, for the 4 episodes, it was only 4 episodes that it had for the first season when it first came out, was a bit slower pace, and it took them a while to actually, like, gain their footing, because you don't really meet up with all the other characters until, like, the second half of the show, and the show's only 4 episodes, and so you don't meet up with, what's her name, Sarah? Yes, you
Mhm.
don't meet up with her till, like, what, episode 3?
Yeah.
And
So, I get what you're saying, but I feel like so it was drawn out, but I feel like the first season of Castlevania is the
yeah.
prelude to this whole
Yeah.
series, because it is only 4 episodes
Mhm.
long.
That's because Castlevania on its own, standing on its own, is an excellent show. That's what I'm saying, but, like, once I
Mhm.
started watching Nocturne and I watched them back to back, I realized that that's the reason why I kinda like Nocturne a bit more, like,
Yeah.
just from the beginning aspect, because I feel like it was able to do more and tell more story with only, like, 8 episodes, and in this first episode, it told more story than the whole first 4 episodes of the first Castlevania show, and I just think that was interesting, and it didn't feel rushed either, but I really do like how they did it with this show too. I just think that if I compare the 2, I would go for
Yeah.
Nocturne just a little bit more because it's
Yeah.
better storytelling.
Nocturne is probably more digestible in that sense that it's a little more quicker in
Mhm.
pace. It checks all the boxes a little sooner, but I don't know. I guess in the sense of, like, if I'm doing, like when I binge the shows, like, the slow burn, I don't mind it, or I don't notice it
No.
necessarily, like, I didn't even realize when I was watching, like I said, I didn't intend to watch all of
Yeah,
season 1 and continue into 2 and 3. It's just, like, the
yeah,
transition is just
mhm,
so smooth that I didn't even
yeah,
realize that, like, I'd already gone through that many
yeah,
episodes
because
because I just had it on
mhm,
continuous
but that's
playthrough.
mostly just because it was at first, it was just like a 4-episode show, you know what I mean? It didn't have any
Mhm.
seasons, like, after that when it first came out, so, like, those 4 episodes, if it failed, it
Mm.
probably wouldn't have gotten more seasons, so
Yeah, so I'm happy to hear that we got our more
mhm,
seasons.
which is pretty cool.
Yeah.
Episode 2, I'm gonna read the Netflix
Mhm.
thing because I had it popped up over here.
I'm sorry.
Trevor Belmont drifts into the panic city of Grisette. Is it Grisette? I think that's how you say it. Grisette?
Crush it.
Grisette?
Crush it.
Hold on.
I feel like that's
Where
how
he
it
learns of an ancient evil and makes a surprising vow. Vow. Episode 2 picks up right after where episode 1 ends. So Trevor's hiding. He's doing his thing. He's like, I don't need none of these people to know I'm a Belmont. Shoot, let me just get my drink. Because the two guys are talking. The guy who was really complaining, his name is Bolshat. I think it's Bolshat. And he's talking to like the two other people, and one of the men is named Peter. It's weird because they were talking about Peter earlier because Peter was sleeping with his
Yeah, sheep.
he was sleeping with his sheep. He was naked, and that's all we need to know. But like, he goes to the
It explains what kind of people they are for
yeah.
real. Who are they judging?
So he goes and tries to get his drink while they're talking about how they like should have killed all the Belmonts, and they notice that Trevor actually has the crest of a Belmont on his like little armor shirt thing, and so they get in an argument, and so Trevor, he ends up holding his own, whatever, because they start fighting, doing like punches and kicks and all that stuff. He ends up holding his own. He actually ends up beating up everybody in there, but he still loses the fight because he's drunk. And it's hilarious because he's just like, let's just say like, he beats them up, but then they all start just, like, ganging up on him or whatever. Even the bar owner, because the bar owner was just sitting there doing his own thing, but all of a sudden, when, Shat punches, Trevor, he gets up and starts wanting to fight too. I said, "Look at you being bold." Like, all these people, like, they having the time of their lives going up here trying to beat up this man. So he's kicked out of the bar, and so he just, like, goes into a forest, cussing them out, doing his thing, being, like, Trevor Belmonte. I
Mhm,
don't know how I feel about Trevor. I think Trevor is really fun. Like in the beginning, I love his character overall.
mhm.
But in the beginning, I was like, what's this character all about?
I agree, like, the first opening, I was like, "I don't know how I feel about you," but, like, he kinda, like, grew
Mhm.
on me, like, in the sense of, like, I feel like he's very much like a little bit of a golden retriever. Like, he's a little, like, discouraged in the beginning,
Yeah,
but once he's, like, given that little bit of boost, like, he's on his way.
yeah. It seems to be a
Um,
common theme with
Also, the barkeeper joined because this man couldn't pay his tab. I would be mad too if somebody drank all my alcohol and then couldn't pay the bill.
well, but he had his coins, so I don't know if he just didn't have enough or something. 'cause he pulled out his coins, and that's how they saw
I
the
just
crest under his thing. He had his little bag, his very small bag of
You're right.
coins. So, I don't know
You're
if
right.
he just decided decided he just wanted to join in on the fun or whatever.
You're right. I forgot he had some money.
Yeah,
I just thought he was
yeah.
broke.
I'm just like, "Sir, like, okay, go off, go off." But Trevor ends up, going into the forest, and the next town is, like, 40 miles away or something. And what we see
Yeah.
is, like, the town is, like, being attacked by, like, the monsters that drag the violence is very violent in this in this show.
Violence is
It's
violent. Oh,
quite
man.
violent, a lot of blood. I remember the first episode
Yeah.
when the monsters were falling down, people's spines were being pulled out and stuff. It is quite
Yeah, it's, like,
gratuitous, yeah,
gruesome.
and people are extremely dead in that town, and so Trevor ends up having to go through the sewage system because, like, the doors are locked or whatever, so the gates are locked, so he sneaks past the sewage system, and luckily, the guard that's there is asleep. At first, I thought because I hadn't seen it in such a long time, I thought the guard was, like, dead and the monster, like, gutted him from the front or something, and so when you walk past it no, but he
Yeah.
was just asleep. And so he goes into town, and so what you see is that these people kinda got used to this way of life already. So, like, some people are confident that, like, the speakers are basically, the people that do magic. They're very confident that the speakers might, like, save them. 'Em. They're sorcerers.
Well, so not
Mhm,
all speakers are actually
mhm.
magicians. They're actually, like,
Historians too,
historians.
yeah.
So they're nomads who travel and basically record history and pass it on via
Mhm,
speaking, word of mouth. It's like a form of oral
mhm.
tradition, but they are known to have people within their cohort that can
Oh, I thought
practice
they were
magic,
both.
like, who have that in their genetics. No, not all of them. Technically, I think in that group of speakers, there was technically only 1 magician
Okay.
or
But they think
so
that the speakers are gonna help them get rid of the demons. That's what one lady says who's selling, like his name is Trevor, right? Yeah, Trevor, because I want to
yeah.
call him his descendant. That wanted to give Trevor his where was I
Was
going?
it the dried
Yeah, the
meat?
dry meat. The dry meat. I lost where I was going with the sentence. And, another man tells like, some people are for, like, them, other people are for, like, the people of the church, and other people just doing their own thing and just, like, not worrying about it. They just dead or hiding or dead. Most of them are dead. And so you see them, like, dragging the dead bodies and throwing them under, like, this bridge. And I bet you that smells horrible. Like, dang. I would've if I was honest, I would've just thrown through the sewage system. Just, like, slide.
No, because then it blocks up the sewage system.
Yeah, but, like, just, like, go through the sewer system and just, like, take them to, like, the side of the town, and then ravens or something will eat up the
No.
bodies. 'Cause your whole town is now closed in, 'cause, like, closed in like this kinda dome or whatever type of thing, and so it's just gonna eventually just clog up either way, so I might as well just, like, to throw some out there. But Trevor ends up going
Yeah.
into an alleyway like most brooding men do, and he runs into, these priests who are trying to, like, attack this old man who's a speaker, and so these priests, they from the slumps.
They're like
Yeah, they
thugs.
thugs, and, if you remember what I said from the slumps, whatever episode I did, like, a few episodes ago, talking about white people, but they from the slumps, and so they going and attacking him, and so Trevor's like, "I'm not getting involved, I'm not getting involved, I'm not getting involved," until he pulls out that whip and gets involved anyway, and he ends up with the whip
Yeah.
cutting off from one of the priests,
Yeah, he
cutting
takes
off
that
the
man's finger clean
finger,
off.
and it gets it's not as violent as earlier scenes, obviously, because he not trying to kill them, right? And so he's beating
Mhm.
them up with his whip, cutting the finger off. The other man loses his eyeball because the one of the priests who loses his finger, he's like, "Get him, get him, get him." And so Trevor's like continuing telling him, "You don't wanna mess with me. You don't wanna mess with me. You don't wanna mess with me." What does he keep doing? He keeps getting up. And so Trevor just slaps him in the face with that whip one good time, and his eyeball out. And it's funny how you have to lose your eyeball just for you to run, because I would've been out of there. I'm not lying. I'm God,
Yeah,
please
a man
forgive
starts
me.
swinging a whip with a knife at the end of it, I'm gone.
Mhm. Yeah, I'm a priest. I'll pray after the fact, 'cause I ain't getting involved in this stupid crap. He got a whip and he just
Well,
took off your
priests
finger.
shouldn't be doing that in the first place.
Hey, you're supposed to be, praying and giving to the poor
Yeah,
and
and I think this is, like, a good scene too, because it kinda shows you that, like, before, obviously, as, like, the viewer, we know that the church is dirty,
Corrupt.
like, they're playing, like, some really bad games, and this kinda, like, shows on, like, a physical level, like, the church, because obviously, these priests aren't acting like this out in the general
Mm-mm,
public, but it was, like, a really grimy scene that's like, "Man, the church is
mm,
really just
mhm.
disgusting." Like, they're basically a bunch of bullies, a bunch of
Yeah.
thugs who are beating up on people in the
Mhm.
shadows and trying to look good out in
They
the
talking
open.
about God, but
Um,
then, like, how you talking about God and then you being like that? Didn't Jesus do this centuries ago? Didn't he come into the church and literally tell you, "Don't do that," and then you come back and do it again? Almost
and then, of course, like, at this point, they run
yeah,
away, and they're going to their bishop,
running away, mhm.
who, lo and behold, is the bishop who burnt Lisa at the
Oh,
stake.
yeah, that is him. Yeah, yeah. Yeah, I tried to
Yes.
forget about
So
him.
he's technically at fault for everything,
Everything.
and he's still out here talking trash. At this point, the archbishop is
Mhm.
dead from that first fight, and he's being all snooty like he's gonna be
Right,
the
he
next
trying to deflect the
archbishop.
blame. You're literally the reason why Dracula did what he did. Like, you
Yeah.
specifically are the one who led the charge, who killed his wife, and you still up here being all high and mighty? What are you doing? What are you do Go somewhere and stop being the church.
Yeah, get a
Why you
life. Find
Yeah,
God
right,
again.
he wants so much power. That's probably the whole reason he got in the church in the first place, because he saw the church, because he especially back then, the church had a lot of power. We took art history, several art history courses, and what's the
Yeah.
one theme that keeps going on over and over and over? Is always the rich people and the church people, usually one and the same, have corrupt power, trying to get over everybody, and then the same thing happens over and over, where they have to keep restarting because they keep doing the same stuff. Why hasn't anybody learned their lesson? Why is it taking demons to fall down out of the sky for you to learn your lesson? And then why haven't you still some of you still haven't learned your lesson after the fact?
I was about to say he still hasn't learned the lesson. What you mean? Like, they're literally coming like, to continue, I guess, the talk about the story, like, the reason that the church hates the speakers, that they're basically using them as a
Mhm,
scapegoat for why these monsters are attacking the
mhm,
town. They're like, "Oh my gosh, they're like a bunch of unholy people probably
mhm,
working with the devil, having all this hidden knowledge that they won't share with us because probably it's evil," and he's
mhm,
basically, like, further plotting, like, it's just crazy because this whole time he's justifying, like, that this is his
mhm,
mission for
mhm.
God, and in reality, he's, like, worse than any
It's
of
your
the
mission for the
monsters.
devil. You the one who working for the devil.
Well, so, when you continue your talk of, like, the progression of this
Uh-huh.
episode, there's a line, that is, like, my favorite line in, like, the 1st season, and it's just it hits, and it's about this
Mhm,
man. It's the just desserts,
mhm.
like, anyway, I'll let you have the show
No,
back, my bad, I get
no,
so
no,
upset.
I'm gonna see, this is what I like about the Castlevania show is it, like, really it takes these moments from history. This show and, especially Nocturne really
Nocturne.
leans into, like, the historical elements and, like, slavery and stuff like that. It's literally taking these elements, adding fantasy to them, but this stuff is, like, really stuff that happened in real life.
Yeah, well, so that's, like, my favorite thing. Like, I love history because the point of history is that we aim to learn it
Mhm.
so that we don't repeat it, and I like when things are, like, very true to the time because sometimes people can
Right.
romanticize things, especially, like, in Regency or, like, some of these dramas coming out, just trying to be popular, but, like, Nocturne, I feel like not Nocturne, just well, not just Nocturne. Castlevania as a whole, both the first set and then the spinoff Nocturne, do a really good job at, like, speaking to
Mm,
their time. Obviously, they're fantastical,
mhm,
like you said, but, like, you really hit all the points of this medieval era, the idea of, like, witch hunts, the involvement of religion, like, the progression of, like,
mm,
the people and politics and, like, society, and then in Nocturne, it's, like, the 1700s, right? Like, the French Revolution, you get, like you said, slavery, like, the civil rights aspect that, like, obviously, it's maybe not 100% accurate, like, true to history, but it reminds us that this stuff actually happened,
mhm,
like, you just because like, now we've progressed to a certain point, like, that stuff still
mhm,
happened. Like, like, there's still, like, debts to pay
mhm.
in a sense, like, there's still wrong that's been done that needs to be
Yes, and
remembered.
that Castlevania's does such a good job with that. every time I watch it, I'm like, "Wait, that did happen," or I'm lear it teaches you stuff too.
Yeah.
I'm like, "Wait, uh-huh, yeah, that's true," and this is great, but
Yes.
Trevor ends up, after beating up the holier than thou men, ends up following the old man because he's a speaker. Speaker, right? Yeah, speaker,
Mhm.
and he takes
Yeah.
them to, like, their little house that they're living in for right now because usually, like you said, speakers are nomads. They go from place to place. But for some odd reason, not really odd, they explain it later. For some odd reason, they've been staying there longer than they usually stay at other places. And so, before we get into like the drama of what happens there, I found it funny where they asked him, did he want anything? He said a drink, and they were like, "Oh, get him some water." He was like, "Never mind." He wanted a
Yeah.
drink.
He's like, "Oh, give me a drink," like, thinking he's gonna get a beer or something, and they're like, "Oh, we'll get you
Water,
water," and
yeah, he
he's like,
wanted
"Oh, never
some
mind."
meat or whatever. That's what they used to call it back then, meat
Yeah.
or something like that.
Okay, so I don't usually like to shame
Uh,
people, but those people who say they don't like water because it tastes bad, you're wrong. Like, you're just not drinking good
mhm,
water. Try a different kind of water. Water comes in
mm.
different shapes and different forms. Stay hydrated.
There, though, they probably had just, like, a whole bunch of dirty water.
Yeah, you're right. Okay,
Mm.
kinda get it.
This
Ok
the
okay,
the
makes a little more
speakers
sense.
probably, like, had clean water, you never know before, like, Cypher left or whatever, she probably, like, cleaned up the water for them or whatever. But for the most part, those people were dirty, it was nasty, dead
Yeah,
people all around, there's no telling what coulda gotten in that water. You know what I mean? There's no
you're
telling what
right.
coulda gotten the meat that Trevor ate. You don't know.
I don't wanna think about it.
Okay. So
I have to eat after this.
so basically what they tell him, is that the church is hiding secrets, obviously. The church is hiding secrets.
Mhm.
They're the ones who caused Dracula to do what he's doing. The general public does not really know about this, and
Well, I don't think it's openly
okay.
said. I think they say that the church has
Mhm.
malicious intent. I don't think they actually know that he's the one who was, like, the bishop is the one that caused all these
Well,
events.
they
Um
say the church is the one that caused the event, yeah.
Oh, yeah.
So, they didn't say the
Yeah.
bishop, but they said that the church is the reason why, because they know that Dracula killed his wife.
That they killed Dracula's wife.
Dracula's and that's great.
Yeah, I was like, "Dracula did not kill Lisa. Justice for Dracula."
They
You
kill
guys are spreading more fake
they kill
news.
Lisa.
Wrong episode.
And so, they're staying in Grisette to help the people. Grishet,
Crush it, yeah.
and also because, the old man, the old speaker that he saved, his grandchild is among the bodies that's left there.
Well, so okay. So what he says is that Trevor actually, while he's
Mhm,
talking to them, he hears about a
mhm,
rumor. Part of the reason why they came to this town is because there's a legend that a
mhm,
hero sleeps underneath the
yeah,
town of Grishet. And it's this allegedly a warrior who, when met by, I think it was like a
mhm,
historian and a warrior, a soldier, will awaken and save the country or
mhm,
continent from its demise. And everybody thought it was prophesized that this was Dracula's war and that the soldier, when met with his foreseen partners of travel, would awaken, sorry, awaken and then go and
mhm,
fight Dracula. And so that's why they originally came there, and the grandchild had gone to search the
mhm,
catacombs to find that warrior, and that's why they couldn't
mhm,
leave because the grandchild was
yeah,
still missing,
okay.
underground.
They said something about bodies, though. I thought they were saying that his grandchild is his grandchild Sypha? Oh,
Yes, that's why I was shocked when you said Sypha. I was like, why are you spoiling?"
she on the poster, she's in the game. If people don't know, she's a main character in the show. If y'all got a problem,
Yeah,
don't look at the poster. She right there, she
yeah.
the blonde
But
lady.
so
The
basically,
sleeping soldier, that's what
obviously
it's called, the
Trevor.
sleeping soldier.
Yes, the sleeping soldier. So, and then obviously from there, like, Belmont Trevor is, like, telling them, "Oh, no, you need to leave, like, it'll be fine, you just need to go," and they refuse
Mm-mm,
to leave,
they're not leaving
obviously.
without her.
He ends up making a deal, like, the head of the speakers, makes a deal with Trevor saying that, "We'll leave, or we'll think about leaving if you recover my grandchild, like, you bring them back to me." and obviously that's when he heads off to go to the catacombs, but then there's, like, the building of, us like, unrest in the town, and the church starts making a plan to attack the
Mhm.
speakers.
Something at the end of this episode that stood out to me is the quote right before Trevor left, is when, the
Mhm,
elder speaker told him that the reason they say that dying isn't what frightens them, right? But it's living without
mhm,
ever doing their best. And then Trevor's like,
yeah,
he's like, he says he doesn't care. I think that's an interesting aspect of his character that they focus on later on is like him now, he is very jaded. He doesn't want
mhm,
yeah, he's very
disheartened.
disheartened. He's not someone who always he looks out more for himself now in the present time now, like before like his character arc. He looks out more for himself because he knows what it's like to be, like, persecuted just for being born, because the Belmonts are people that were persecuted and kicked out because of their lineage, and eventually no, he helps people, right? Especially, like, the speakers or whatever, because he relates to them, right? But eventually, as
Mhm,
time goes on, he, as a character, starts to focus less on himself and the people that he knows that went through the same things as him, and starts to, like, focus more on people overall too, you know, humanity. It's like he and Dracula have, like, this yin and yang thing going on, kinda sorta, like, they he's on the good side, Dracula is not on the not so good side because he's the one who starts the attack, but the reasons as to why they did what they did are quite similar, that a lot with these
yeah,
characters.
yeah, they're both, like, treated as, like,
Mhm,
outsiders, like, obviously, like I said, the Belmont, excommunication happened a long ago. I think it was Trevor has been on his own since he was
mhm,
13, like, he was, like, abandoned and has had to fend for
mhm.
himself. And like you said, like, he obviously grew up with that sense of justice, like, this pride of, like, being from the Belmonts who help save people from monsters, and so he has that, like that's, like, his true heart, like, you see him when he sees injustice, he just can't ever truly
Yeah,
walk away.
he tries.
But he also is, like, a
Yeah,
runner. He's also
mhm,
a runner, like,
mhm,
he runs away, and that's what, like, the speakers accuse him of, they accuse him of
mhm,
running, and that's what that quote that you said, that's what makes it so
mhm.
empowering, is because it eventually becomes that power for him to change.
That's the thing.
It's like that
The
initial
other thing I
spark.
see with these main Belmont characters a lot, they like to run they like to run from, like, their problems, and they have to
Their
go, like,
problem is
on these whole character they do the same thing on Nocturne with Richter. Richter, he
Richter?
goes through this similar character arc, because this happens at the very beginning of the first episode, so I'm gonna spoil it. It's the very, very beginning of the first episode. Richter is with his mother. Her name is I can't remember her name. I can't remember. I think it's Leia or something. Leia? Julia. Her name's J yeah, her name's Julia. His mom obviously is a Belmont. Her
Uh,
name's Julia. She's a vampire hunter. And when push comes to shove in the beginning of the episode, she gets killed. She's killed because of Richter, because she's taking him to live with his aunt Tara, I think. Aunt Tara. She ends up being the main character too, his Aunt Tara. And so she's going to take him on a ship so he can go to France. They end up running into Rocks, who's the Native American, who's the indigenous character that everybody simps over, and we find out that Julia ended up killing somebody that was the love of his life, who was very important to him, and he's coming after Julia. She tells Richter to hurry up and run to the ship. She'll catch up, and they're fighting, and she's holding her own. She's doing a great she's a Belmont, so obviously, she's killed plenty of vampires. The problem is Richter decides that he wants to stay and watch the fight, and then when his mom is, like, caught just in, like, this little small thing that she can get herself out of, he decides he wants to use his magic powers, 'cause Belmonts have the ability to use magic, especially after Sypha
certain
and
thing.
another
You're spoiling.
uh, especially after, like, people in his lineage ended up, like, help
Intermingling
intermingling
with
with sorcerers,
sorcerers.
and so Belmonts eventually can just, like they're also sorcerers along with vampire hunters. The magic comes naturally to them, and so he ends up trying to use his magic on Aurochs and getting in his mother's way, and now she has to protect him, and she ends up saving him, but also sacrificing her life for her son because he decides that he's a kid, but you need to learn how to listen. When your mama say run, maybe it's a good re
You run.
yeah, it's a good idea to run, and so he carries that with him, and that's the reason why in that show, he can't even use his magical abilities because his mother he's traumatized of seeing his mother literally die in front of him, and they show it too because Aurochs ends up turning into, like, the giant, like, dragon snake-like creature, and he has, like, these fangs, and one of the fangs and it's gigantic, and he uses one of the fangs and just like, I can't think of the word, but, like, it goes through his mom, basically, and she bleeds.
Yep, keep
Yeah, and so that's a thing that I see a lot of Belmont the men in the family who go
they got a listening
they got
problem.
listening problems, and then they traumatize from very young ages, which causes them to, like, go through, like, these at least they start to deal with those kinda. They can start to deal with
Yeah.
it. They all of them need therapy, but, like, was therapy really good where they were from? I think not, probably not, especially back then. Yeah, but I'm not gonna get too much into, Nocturne because you haven't watched the episodes, and I don't wanna spoil it for you.
Sorry.
Nocturne is so good, the animation is so beautiful, and tons and tons and tons and of melanin, and also queerness too. I'm gonna say that it's weird that not weird, but, like, compared to the first Castlevania, the second Castlevania,
Mhm,
when they, like, biting into, like, their victims or whatever, it's a bit more
mhm.
sexual.
I feel like that is also part of the time,
Mhm,
cause like so the medieval time is definitely a little bit more
mhm,
gory, a little more graphic. There's the concept of, like, the humans are
mhm,
livestock. It's not meant to be this, like, act of
mhm,
intimacy, but I feel like more as we get into, like, the 1700s, especially France, it's, like, a little bit more of, like, in history, a
yeah,
little bit more of, like, a sensual, like, attraction
yeah,
and intimate experience, and it like I said, it speaks to the time, it speaks to the romance of being in
yeah,
France in this era of
yeah.
revolution.
There's this one scene, I don't wanna get too much into it. It happened in, like, the first episode, but, like, this one character he ends up being caught by the vampires, and let's just say they have a nice time sucking his blood. They literally all they do is suck his blood, but how they do it and how it's animated is it's quite sensual. That's all I'm gonna say. So,
It's
yeah.
saucy.
So we're going to rate these episodes, the 2 episodes that we saw. How many a la cards out of 10 are you gonna rate the episode? The first episode?
Oh, if it's a la carte, they're all perfect. I I don't know, that's, like, really hard because I wanna say they're really good, but you did mention the pacing issue, so I understand. I kinda wanna give the first one just as, like, as the beginning, like, with the story between Lisa and Dracula, I kinda wanna give it, like, an 8 or 9. I won't give it a perfect 10 because I do agree, it drags
Mhm.
a bit. But I love again, I love the story, I like the art, I like the plot of it, like, how it wound up where it was, but like I said, it does lose a point or so for, like, the
Yeah,
pacing. And then as for the 2nd episode, ooh, again, I'd probably give it, like, a 8,
yeah.
8
I would
just because I feel like it's good, but I feel like I don't like where it
Yeah, I'll
stops.
get same. Like, if you look at these episodes, it's just, like, 2 standalone episodes. It's just, like it seems more like some, like, TV you know how Cartoon Network used to have, like, those whenever they used to, like or any show, like, most anime shows do this. When they premiere, they have, like, the 2 episodes back to back, and they do it, like, as, like, this TV movie. That's how I look at these 2 episodes.
Mhm.
Overall, the season
Well, I think that's the whole
yeah,
series. Like, I think that whole season
mhm.
1, it could have been one
It could've
long
been one
movie.
long movie. I agree with that. And season 1 is a very good season, but at the same time, it's very season 1. I can't describe it.
It's very
Mhm,
introductory. It doesn't feel like a season 1. It feels like if they had really tried, they could have probably made that into the first or, like, the first
mhm,
2 episodes of the
yeah,
entire
it
show.
was like
Like, if we were
mhm,
to condense a lot, which it would have sucked, we would have lost a little bit more, like,
mhm,
intimate detail and character development, so I'm happy it is the
yeah,
way it is, but I feel like in any other series that's, say, your standard, like 12 to 24 episode, like, general drama,
Mhm,
this could have been done in, like,
yeah.
2
Looking
two or
at
3
season
episodes.
1 of Castlevania, I wouldn't even consider it season 1. I'll consider that and then season 2 as season 1, if I'm being honest, because
Yeah, it's like the prelude and then the actual first
yeah,
chapter hits in
because it
season
it
2.
it makes it fits in better that way, instead of looking at it as separate seasons,
Mhm.
but that's just basically, like, production stuff, it's more of the production rather than, like, story elements or whatever, because I don't know if
Yeah,
they renewed the show for season 2 before or after, I can't remember, but
I
it
think
was
it was
after.
after. I don't think it was confirmed in the
Yeah,
beginning.
so yeah. But overall, I will give both episodes 8 out of 10s too because they were good. The animation was very nice to look at. The characters were quite like, I'm surprised how much development they did get in those 2 episodes though at the same time. You got to
Yeah,
know each of the characters, intimately in a lot of ways, especially Dracula. I love what they did with Dracula. It's and
I love
Lisa
him.
too, like, you see Lisa a bit more over the series and, like, flashbacks and stuff, but how the few minutes of screen time that she did get, her personality shined a lot, like
Like, her demeanor, like, you knew the kind of person she
mhm,
was in just the
mhm,
few
mhm,
scenes that she was in, like, the
mhm,
sass, the
mhm,
quirkiness, the, inquisitive
mhm,
nature, it's
mhm.
amazing.
She really was. I can see why Dracula was quite upset when she died, like, I can see how he fell in love with her
You could
because she
see
she
it.
was she was quite it, and eventually, over time, you see why she fell in love with Dracula too. I mean, because they don't they but what they
Mhm.
basically do is they give us the introductory, they tell us that they're married, but you don't see what happens in between until later on, right? So you can't see really
Yeah.
why she fell in love with Dracula besides maybe his looks, and even then, he looks like somebody uncle, no offense, but, like,
Oh my gosh, no, I love
no,
that
no, he's
man.
attractive, but, like, yeah, I like it. Speaking of attractiveness, though, I think we should get into our
Yeah.
next segment.
Oh, yay.
Yay. What are we gonna be doing in the next segment?
Okay. So in the next segment, Professor S has prepared a tier list where we will be ranking the attractiveness of the core cast
Yes.
of both Castlevania, the original series, and then the spin-off Castlevania Nocturne.
Yes.
So yeah, the excitement of it
Yes, let's
all.
go to the classroom, everybody. You ready, Professor S? Yeah,
Whoop whoop.
she's saying,
Let's
yeah.
go.
So let's get there. Professor S, OMG, I haven't seen you in so long. How are you? It's me, little Timmy.
I'm Hi little
Hi.
Timmy, how are
I'm
you?
great. I almost like left your class because I didn't like your teaching style, but Mr. Kaiser told me that this test is not based on grades, but actually on opinions. Is that correct?
That is correct. So I have a fun little tier list that we're going to be going
Okay.
through about whether or not certain vampires and characters from the show Castlevania are attractive. And if so, on a scale of what is basically 1 to 5, how attractive they are. And, we have various categories. The top tier is going to be an immortal beauty, and that is going to be our S rank. Then we have what would be A, which is still very attractive, but maybe not the most, and that's going to be still has blood because they're vampires. Not all of them, but most of them. And then we have what is mid, your average, which is titled as I'd hit still hit it. And then of course we have what is our slightly below average, which is needs more sun as a joke, obviously. Maybe they need to go outside and if they're a vampire, they might die, but that's another here or there. And then of course, our final tier are just plain ugly. Worst look it's gonna be did the artist hate
Thank
you?
you.
Because maybe if they'd worked a little harder, they would have still been
No.
attractive.
Wow, that's so mean, Professor S.
Hey, as an artist myself and a professor, I think I have some liberties.
Okay.
So, anyway, are you ready to start our fun ranking
Yes,
system?
let's get started. I'm ready. Little Timmy is ready. I may be too young to be ranking looks, but that's okay.
You're not too young. This is a college class.
Okay, who's first?
Ok- Okay, so first we'll just go. Actually, let's go in order of how they appear throughout the series. Let's make it fun
Okay.
like that. So, first off, let's do Lisa. Dracula's
Uh,
wife.
oh, I see her. Hi, Lisa.
You act She's dead. She sadly
She's
will not be
dead.
talking back.
But I think if I were to rank Lisa, I'd say she still have a little bit of blood in her. She may be dead. She's still very
Yeah,
attractive.
I agree. I think she also still has blood. She's may not be an immortal beauty just because obviously she can be a little hot-tempered and, she already has Dracula, so I can't squeeze my way in there, you know? Still very,
She's
very
a very
beautiful.
beautiful woman. Yeah. I like you, Lisa.
Yes. And then next, let's do a Dracula, our main antagonist of
I
season
wanna see
1.
what you do first, Professor S. What would you rank Dracula?
Well, I was gonna rank him an immortal beauty because I love
Alright,
him.
listen, I'm trying to find
Daddy,
did you
Dracula?
say
That's
did
what
you
I meant.
call
Wh what?
this you gotta stay professional.
I said Dracula.
Okay, okay.
Ugh.
Dracula. Oh, here he is. I would say that he still has blood. I'm just I'm not I don't know, he reminds me of someone's father.
I say that, but, like, he has such a hard time, and I just feel like I can fix him.
What? Maybe
I
Professor
said I feel like I could fix him.
Professor S, maybe we should there's some underlying
Okay, next
problems going
character.
on here. I need to you know what? Okay, go ahead. Go ahead. Let's next character. Who's next? Who's next?
Okay, so next character I have our lovely, I say sarcastically, Bishop. He's going straight, "Did the artist hate you?"
Yeah, I
He's
agree.
he is
He's
ugly.
ugly, and his attitude reflects that ugliness, which makes him even more ugly. That's the whole point. That's why they did his character like that. Because 'cause you're ugly on the inside, you're gonna be ugly on the outside.
Unattractive inside and out.
Eventually,
Straight to the trash.
if you're attractive now and you're just a trash person, eventually it's gonna come out and show through your skin and stuff too, even if that just means when you get old. But yeah, he's a not good person. I feel like the people in his church need to pray for him. Nothing in there is good. Nothing. So, yeah. 'Cause
Yeah, it's definitely a questionable
yeah.
life. So then next, let's do Trevor
Mm,
Belmont.
Trevor. Again, I will put Trevor in
I put him in Still Has Blood because I
I
like
feel
him as a character, but he's not like, in my opinion, the most
yeah.
attractive. Like he does progress and get a little bit more, but I'm still like, that's
Yeah,
okay.
see
He's
yeah.
attractive. He ain't average, but he's not the
Oh,
best.
yeah. I don't know if I wanna put him on Still Has Blood or I Still Hit It because these names are funny because I would not use these in real life. I Still Hit It. Oh, but he I don't know if it's just 'cause the ruggedness of him or if it's because his accent, I don't know, something about him is just like, I'll
You're like,
I'll
mm.
put him on Still Has Blood. I He has some blood in him.
Man, little Timmy's so
I'm
kind.
fine. I I don't rank
Yeah.
people of attractiveness out of what I would get out of it. It Yeah,
Okay. Well, then next we're gonna do
Cypher.
Sypha.
Okay, yeah, she's an immortal beauty. She's my number 1.
Dang, that was
She's going to
quick.
the top. I love her. She's very beautiful, like, inside and out.
I like her.
Mhm,
I was gonna say, I don't know if I would put her in Immortal Beauty, but I think I agree because I like her sassy
mhm,
personality. I like her
mhm.
courage. She passes the
Yeah,
vibe check, and she's
yeah,
pretty.
she's quite
She's got some
yeah,
bomb
she's
magic.
quite beautiful. She's already automatically at the top, no offense. Like, move out the way what's his name? See, I always forget his name. Trevor, move out the way. Like, no, move.
Damn.
Yeah.
Yeah. Okay. Then next, let's do Carmilla.
Which one is that? Who is that again?
Oh my gosh, did you not
Is she
watch
the
the
blonde
show?
one?
She's the one with white
Yeah, she's
hair.
the blonde.
Yeah, the one with light blonde
Okay,
hair
like
and red lipstick.
so let me be honest. Attractively, because I haven't been
Okay.
ranking these characters just by attractiveness, I've been also ranking them by personality. She's really evil, okay? But she's also really
Yes,
hot.
I hate her.
She's also quite
Yes.
So,
She's so
she's
attractive. So
she's
attractive, but she's
yeah,
such a terrible
she's so
person.
attractive to the point where her attractiveness kinda cancels out the rankiness of the
It
others.
did not cancel
No,
out
I'm not
anything.
talking about the evilness. I'm just saying, like, if I'm
Oh,
ranking them
okay.
by attractiveness, she has to go to the very top. She's an immortal beauty. She's literally the definition of what an immortal beauty looks like.
Yes.
So she has to go to the top. I don't vibe with her personality at all. Well, it's fun to watch, but I don't like if she was a person I knew in real life, no. But from the attractiveness points, she's going all the way to the top. She has to.
No, she needs more sun. She doesn't hit rock bottom with the bishop because she's beautiful, but I refuse to sit her up with my people up in the top row. Some villains can pass, but this woman, she ain't going. Mm-mm, mm-mm, mm-mm. If I had a category that said banished, gone,
Wow.
deceased, she would have
Okay.
gone.
Uh,
2
yeah,
kinds of
two
people,
kinds
2
of
kinds of
people.
people. Okay, so next we're gonna do Alucard from Series
Okay.
1 Castlevania. So he's going straight
I
to
agree.
immortal beauty before his father.
Yeah.
He's just so beautiful.
He
I'm a
he
simp. Just like
mhm.
regular Sabrina, Professor S is a simp
Who's
for
the lady with
Alucard
the blonde
forever and
hair?
always.
The
The
white
lady with the
hair?
blonde
The
hair. She
who we just talked about? Yeah.
Oh,
Those
Carmilla?
2 are just basically just, like, attractive. They're just straight up attractive. Like, even if I, like, do
Yes.
that personality, I
Yes.
like his personality, but even if I didn't consider his personality, like, just on a model-esque standards that, like, are European beauty standards, they're going to the top. I can't. They're just beautiful. I don't get it.
They're, like, insanely
Yeah.
beautiful. Like I don't know what else to tell you, I'm
Mhm.
sorry.
Like, I just can't.
Okay, so next on the list is gonna be Godbrand, which is the troll gray
With the
looking
red
man.
hair.
Yes. He's going straight into Did the Artist
Mhm.
Hate You? Because not only is he ugly, he's got a bad personality, and he's a
I think
tool.
he just needs more sun because
What? What?
it's not
Timmy, we need to talk about this taste.
see,
First, you put Carmilla in the top, and then you go put this
I
man
I
needs more
don't
sun?
find him attractive. I don't find his personality attractive, but I also like him more than I like the bishop, just a little bit because at least he knows he's evil.
She's a plot device,
Yeah,
I guess.
so, like, he looked cool, is what I'm saying. The bishop, he just evil and he ain't got nothing going for him. But this guy, he looks cool, so I'm gonna give him some cool points because he look cool. He has some points that'll put him just a little bit above Did the Artist Hate You? Because the artist clearly spent some time trying to make him look at least a little bit cool. There's this one Christian show, this Christian kid show I saw one time. It's called, like, Superbook. And it's really weird because how they
I've
do
never
Satan at
seen
the end of the show, I told my sister, "Why does Satan look so cool? Satan shouldn't be looking like this cool and stuff like that." So, like,
Yeah.
how I would put Satan
Well, maybe that's part of the show's, like,
mhm,
tactic. It's that idea of temptation. He looks so cool, and doing bad things can look so
yeah.
tempting, but in
No,
reality, it's not
somebody
good
just
for you.
went ham on Satan. They wanted him to look great, and I can't disrespect that. So, I'm just gonna put him on Needs More Sun because he has that cool factor to him. He's annoyingly annoying, but he has a cool character design. That's what I'll say.
Mhm. Okay. Well, we'll leave that there. Next, let's do Hector.
Uh,
You know who Hector
um,
is? Do I need
I
to tell you
forget.
that?
Who's Hector? Is he the black one?
No, Hector is the one in the, similar outfit,
Oh,
that
wait,
has
they
the
were in a
gray
gay
hair,
romance,
tan
weren't
skin.
they? They weren't?
No,
Oh, what do I wait, what
no.
do I remember?
Oh, so spoiler alert. So Isaac is gay,
Mhm.
or it's insinuated that he's implied that he's gay. But Hector is the one who has the he has a relationship with another character later on in the
I think
show.
if you're a
He's used.
vampire, you're always a little bit gay. That's, like, the whole thing about vampires, so you
Yeah. Anybody who's seen Interview with a Vampire will
yeah,
know.
like, that's the whole thing of vampires.
Anyway, Back on task, Timmy. We gotta
I would
get this
put
stuff
him
done.
on I like his hair.
He's
I
he's a mortal beauty
yeah,
for me.
I don't know if
He makes some bad choices,
yeah,
but again, I
I
could
like
fix it.
no, I like his hair and I like his skin tone. So I don't really and his personality was
I like his ability.
he had a nice dynamic with is it because him and the black guy had a nice dynamic? They were, like, friends or something? Were they friends? Yeah,
Yes, they were technically Dracula's closest
yeah.
friends.
So, yeah, I'll put him on Immortal Beauty. I don't remember much about him,
Yes.
but, like, if I'm just going off about looks and what I can remember about him, he'll go Immortal.
And then, obviously, next we'll go Isaac, who is his counterpart, but,
Immortal Beauty.
he is getting
Yeah,
immortal beauty.
he
Yes.
look, y'all, I'm gonna have, like, this you'll see what I mean. I'm just gonna shut up. Yeah, he's the Immortal Beauty. That's all.
Well, I just love his
Mhm.
character, and also, he is the most loyal in this entire
Black people have
show.
that habit,
He
like I keep
is
saying, I don't
loyal.
understand why we do that.
Like, he has a tragic backstory and, like, he's a tormented soul, but, oh my gosh, I love
Mhm,
it. I
mhm,
love it. I know I said that all about all these people I'm
mhm.
putting in S tier with, Immortal Beauty, but I love it. Anyway, back on task. Pull yourself together, Professor S,
Yeah,
is
you
what I gotta
simping a
call
lot.
myself. It's not my
I
fault.
shouldn't be talking to my professor like this.
It's their fault for being
I shouldn't be
attractive.
talking to my professor like this. Yeah, cool.
Exactly, exactly. So next, let's do Lenore.
Who is that?
So that is she's the one with light brown hair, paler skin. Her hair's almost reddish.
Oh, the cute little girl?
I don't think she might be cute. She's got a white coat
Yeah.
on with dark blue accents. Yeah. I put her in Needs More Sun.
Yeah, I think she needs more sun no, no. She's really cute. She's like a cute little girl. I can see her as like a little sister.
I didn't care for her
Yeah,
character. Like, I liked the dynamic she had with other characters, but, like, she
Output still has
a
blood.
little spy.
I put her in category 3, but that just sounds weird. Like, I get that we just ranking them on attractiveness, but I still hit it sounds weird. I don't wanna put her in category 3. Because she reminds me of somebody's little sister. She reminds me of like a little sister, and so she's cute. She's a little cute little girl. Look, she's not a little girl,
She's a
yeah,
vampire.
so then man,
Don't let her
that would
trick
be
you.
horrible to become a vampire at a young age because you'll be, like, stuck in adolescence. Uh-uh.
I don't think she's that young. I think she's technically, like, in her 20s when she was turned.
Adol
I think that's, like, early
adolescence lasts till
20s.
you like 24. You don't stop growing till you 24. So,
Oh,
like,
well,
there's something, like, your brain or something. You could like, your brain isn't fully developed till you like, 26. I will need to be in my prime 20s till I'm, like, 26, and then you can turn me into a vampire, because at least I wouldn't be having, like, all those weird like, my hormones will be balanced for the most part. My brain will be developed,
just because you stopped aging doesn't mean that you stopped developing.
though.
I mean? Well, because when you become a vampire, your body, like, optimizes
Your
itself,
body, but,
you
like,
know?
your brain and your emotions,
Yeah, but
like, imagine
that will still
imagine becoming
grow.
a vampire as a
What do you mean?
teenager, and then your body is still doing that like, they do in an interview with a vampire with the upcoming season of the books, the girl what's her name, Claudia? The black girl?
I don't know.
Anyways, I don't watch that show, but I watched a video about it, and I was getting to the lore because they were doing, like, this season I'm still not gonna watch it, but they were doing, like, this analysis of, like, season 2, and her whole thing with her first season is that she became a vampire in adolescence, so she was stuck with, like, those adolescent emotions and stuff, so she was stuck in that adolescent stage, still being a teenager even though she's an
Yeah.
adult.
But I feel like that take is not done in a lot of vampire media
Yes.
always.
Yeah. I don't know. Yeah, I was pushy stuff.
I feel like it's almost the opposite. It's almost like you'll have these characters that are almost child doll-like, but on the inside, they're these, like, ancient, angry
Mhm.
beings of, like, superior
Yeah.
intellect. Anyway, we had to get back
Yeah.
to task. Professor S has another
Oh,
class
yeah, yeah,
after
go ahead.
this. Yeah. So, then next, let's do, Zamfir. He's gonna be the one with the scar on his lip.
Score on this.
I do not remember so much about his character, per se in the show, but I'm just gonna put it on I'd still hit it because
Is
he's
he the purple
average.
one?
He's not like an amazing.
Like, with the elf
No.
ears? Like, which what oh, him. Oh, him. Yeah, I'll put him on I still hit he looked like a somebody little brother too. So,
You know,
yeah,
he's just
he's
average.
average. I don't like putting on I still hit it because he looked like somebody so, you know what? I'm gonna put the girl on I still hit it too because they look like somebody's sip man, that sounds problematic, but, like,
Yeah.
I'm putting them in those rankings. That's what I'm gonna say.
Yeah. Okay, so let's do next Sumi. She's the one with the slit in her eyebrow and the green headband.
She's
She's going
cute.
did the
She's
artist say to
cute.
you? Actually, she'll go up to Needs More Sun.
Is she a bad character? I haven't gotten to her.
Um,
I don't remember her.
she's one
She's
of the
one of the
twins.
twin Oh, yeah. Oh, yeah. Oh, yeah. Okay, so, yeah, you need a bit more sun.
'Cause I can't put her in the complete bottom because her art is
Mhm.
beautiful, but she needs more
Yeah.
sun. And then afterward, we do I believe it's Taka,
He's a twin too.
and again, needs
Need
more
more
sun.
sun.
I
Yeah.
hate him. He's
The
the one with the
freckles.
freckles, pale with freckles. Looks like Sumi.
Yeah.
They're twins.
Yeah. He needs more sun. It's just because they betrayed Alucard, and they
Yeah,
have
they do some
a
messed up stuff.
bit of a basic character design too. They don't stand out as much either.
Well, I think that was the point. They're very much used as like a plot device to create the distrust for humanity of Alucard at the end of the first series, and then it's part of what brings him to his appearance in Nocturne. That he basically loses his humanity as he builds the same distrust his father had for humans.
That and his video game design. But yeah.
Yeah. So, oosh, messed that up. Oops. Professor S did an oops. Anyway, then let's do Alucard from Nocturne because now we're changing into like more Nocturne
Wait, who are
characters.
these 2 that aren't in
Um,
Nocturne? Those
they
that
aren't?
aren't are they in
Oh, they might be. I thought they
No, those
were,
are Nocturne
but maybe I'm
characters.
wrong.
The one in the top and the one in the,
Okay,
like,
then
you call it?
yeah. So we can do them
Okay.
now then because I thought they were, but I couldn't remember them being in the first series. It might be the end that
Mm,
just haven't
that's
remembered. So the we could go Striga first. She's the one in the purple
okay.
cloak,
This
and
is
I don't
she? Okay.
think it's kind of pink. I thought it
I
was
don't
a
know.
woman.
Her the
I'm gonna
design
put
is
her
just
needs more
angular.
sun.
Yeah, I'll put in no, I'll put in I still hit it. I don't know, I like it. I like it. I like the character design.
Really?
Something about it is
Too sharp
kinda
for me.
I like it. And then the other one,
Okay, and then, her name is
mhm,
Morana. I put her in
I
I'd
still
still
hit
hit
it
it
too.
because pretty, but
Yeah.
she it
I don't know, I like when characters have, like, these fancy clothes and they're, like, really, like, cloaky and big, or when they have, like, frills
Mhm,
on their thing, so, from a character design perspective, yeah, I'll still hit it. Okay.
okay, cool. And then now I guess we can move on to Nocturne, which is gonna be we start with Alucard.
Well, he was in the
Um,
last one.
I'm gonna
He
put
was in
him
the very last scene, but we can do him if you want.
yeah, he's Immortal Beauty, still
Mhm.
for me.
I say because I like his facial structure better. He's really pale.
Yeah,
I
the
wanna
art
see more of him, and because I haven't seen more of him, and he's only in, like, literally a few seconds of the show, quite beautiful. But because I haven't seen much of him, I'll put that he still has blood, despite him looking like he has less blood than he did in the other show.
yeah.
Yeah,
No, I love him. He will forever be my
I think his
husband.
character design
Anyway,
though, but I just
I get it.
I haven't
I
seen
get
much
it.
of it yet.
Okay, I get it. Okay, Richter. I think I'm gonna put him in Still Has Blood because he's re relatively
He's
attractive.
handsome. I'd still hit it, only because
No, I'm looking at him, I kind of agree.
I've seen the show. I like his character. He's a fun character, but he's also, like, the least best character,
Yeah,
and he's attractive,
move him. He's getting
but,
demoted. I'd still hit it.
on a personality perspective, I'd still hit it.
You know, he
Yeah.
got moved down, demoted. Next is Maria,
Maria, she
which
still
is
has blood.
yes,
She is so cute. She is
she's
so
cute.
cute, and because of that, I can't help but to make sure that she goes to as the top as possible, but she's still not the very top. but she's so cute.
Yeah, she's not the
Mhm.
pinnacle
And I
of
love her
beauty.
personality. I love her character design. She has one of the best character designs in these 2 shows, period. It's just, like, her long hair and
Yeah,
everything, so still has blood.
okay. And then next, let's do Edward.
Immortal Beauty.
He's, like, really attractive. I was about to say, straight to the
Uh-uh.
top, that's an attractive man. Them eyebrows, them
Yeah.
eyes.
Edward is such
Yes,
an
I love him.
amazing character. He's such an emotional character, and I love him for that. It's showing a guy with emotions and stuff. They do the same thing with
I
Richter,
know.
but, like, Edward is a bit more sane, that's all I'm gonna say. He's dealt with his trauma, despite
Okay,
being black.
and then we have Annette.
Immortal Beauty. She's, like, my first Immortal Beauty. I'm, like, putting her, like, at the very, very top. Annette,
I agree, she's an immortal beauty. I love her, like, her character. I love,
she's
love,
the
love her.
best character in that show. One of the most attractive
Really?
girl, she is the best character in that show. You gotta watch it.
Well, I promise
Mhm.
I'll watch it. Next, let's do Elizabeth,
Immortal Beauty.
which is immortal
No,
beauty. I
wait,
was gonna say
Ericabet, no, that's the
s
queen.
blood.
Huh? Oh, never mind.
Yes, yes, that's the
Okay,
orange
yeah,
haired one. I know,
it
she
still
still
has
needs
blood.
more blood.
Yeah.
She has the design, she's just a little,
She creeps me out.
a little crusty
She
to
creeps
me.
me out.
I was about to say she's it's meant to be, like,
Mhm,
ethereal, it's meant to make you
mhm.
uncomfortable, but it just don't
Yeah,
do it for me. And then, of course, we have the last one,
yeah.
Drolta
She's the Immortal
and
Beauty.
Immortal Beauty straight to the top. Do I want her before or after? Let's do
Yeah,
after
I'll
her.
do her after
I
Annette.
love her. She's
Mhm,
amazing, she's fierce, she's fire,
mhm.
like,
Yeah.
perfect.
So, I'm gonna have to let me put him well, he's dark skinned, so I'll put him here, and then him. Yeah, I'll do it like this. That's my ranking. So, yeah, all the women are first. It's just like women did the bid.
No, I'm like, let's rearrange people on their lines in the order of which I find them the most
Yeah.
attractive. Okay, I think I would rather this one over these 2. I hate those twins so much. Okay, okay. I
Yeah,
think
I
it's in
think I should
order.
put a la carte higher.
So woo!
Yay.
Congratulations, we've made it to the
Yes,
end of your assignment.
great.
Was it more fun than last time, Timmy?
It was easier than last time because I didn't have to, like, know stuff. Yeah,
Yeah.
so that's great. This is the best
Well,
test where I can just state my opinion and get an A.
the next test, I'll make it multiple choice. How about
Uh,
that?
speaking of next test, let's get Professor S out of here because we gotta do the outro, and also, I'm about to Kaiser is gonna reveal the next show that's his pick that they're gonna watch for the next episode.
Of course. Have a good
Bye.
day. Bye.
OMG, little Timmy and Professor S must have had some fun ranking those attractive characters. Sabrina,
I know, I wish I
like,
had been there. I would have simped so hard.
whose list
Ugh,
did you like better?
I like Professor S's list
Uh,
better,
I think
for
me and
sure.
little Timmy agree on a lot of things, and so I would but at the same time, me as a person, when it comes to attractiveness, I just go by, like, what I see. But you get what I mean? 'Cause I'm not
Yeah,
attracted to people.
yeah,
Does that make sense? Let me shut up. Anyways,
yeah. Hey, it
it was great seeing little Timmy and Professor S. It's fun, and it's time to hand off the baton to me because I picked our next show. So let me give you a little bit of backstory.
mhm,
I was gonna pick a completely different show. A week or 2 ago, I saw the Barbie movie. Finally rented it
mhm,
before we lost it. That movie was excellent. It was so funny, great. Ken, you are Ken up.
yeah.
You are Ken up, Ken. But
I agree. I agree.
I was going to do because I saw that Barbie has a Netflix show. She's been having a Netflix show for a while. And it's this whole little universe where Barbie is it's like a was a Disney Channel show. And so it has multiple seasons. It's been going on since like 2016, 2017. It introduced like the Black Barbie as the main character, and they had their show too. It's this whole universe. It goes like chronological and everything. And I was gonna do that show because I was like, that's a little nice slice of life, little show that is different, and it'll be a different type of cartoon to watch. But then I was watching Precure, right? And so if you know me, you know I love Precure. But right now there are two simultaneous Precure shows going on right now. You have the main one, Hirogaru Sky Precure, and the other one, which is Power of Hope Precure Full Bloom. That's the one we're gonna watch. We're gonna watch the first 5 episodes of Power of Hope Precure Full Bloom. It was up until yesterday, because I was like, we're gonna watch the Barbie show. But up until yesterday, after I saw the 4th episode of that show that premiered on Saturday, I was like, okay, now we have to watch this show, because it's basically about magical girls in adulthood and what that's like. And so it follows the previous teams, Yes Precure 5 and Splash Star, and they're coming together for this show. And it has some cool action scenes. It has some nice transformation sequences, but it also just deals with adulthood. And I really want to see what's that young adulthood, I should say. I really want to see want to discuss what's that like in that type of magical girl setting, because you never really get that with magical girls. They're usually like forever young. And this show does deal with like the topic of youth and stuff, but it does it in a different way. That's what I'm gonna say, because I want you to watch it. It's a fun show. I'm not saying it's the best show in the world, but I think it's a show that we can really get a discussion out of. That's really fun.
This is a Kaiser's ploy to finally get me to watch Precure.
And this is gonna be like your first Precure, which is gonna be interesting because it's a sequel to a sequel. So Precure doesn't usually do sequels. They did sequels twice, and this is 3rd sequel. But this sequel is aimed more at the more mature audience, while still being kid friendly at the same time. So yeah, after watching that 4th episode though, I was like, okay, we're watching this instead.
You're like, it's happening. There's no choice.
I wasn't even planning on watching it for this show, but it got me. It got me. So that's what we're gonna do. Yeah. So
we can dress up as magical girls the next time. We kind of have like a vampire vibe going on right now. We can do the magical girl drip.
I'll be a magical boy, honey. I don't know, magical boy, honey, go. What was your magical girl name?
Oh no.
Sweet honey go. See, that's my catchphrase. Look at that.
Oh my gosh.
Yeah.
I don't know about that. It'll be fun. It'll be interesting.
Thanks again, Sabrina, for joining me as a guest host of this IAFO Animation Takeover. Thank you, everyone, for joining us for this episode. We hope you enjoyed. We hope that you rank your Castlevania characters of the attractiveness. What we're going to do is I'm going to put the link on the bottom of this episode so you guys can rank your favorite characters as well, and we can compare and contrast our differences. Thanks everybody for joining us. Sabrina, do you have anything else to say before we say goodbye?
No, I'm pretty good. Let's all do well, prosper, and simp over hot vampires.
All right, bye everyone.